us here in this parish. Lord, we just ask that you be with us, be with all the leaders in this parish, that you protect us, you take care of us. Lord, be thankful for the season we're coming into. Just be with us on it. Just take care of us tonight, the agenda we have. In Jesus' name we pray.
Please join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Secretary, can you give us a roll call, please?
Debbie Oden.
Here.
Gerald Anderson. Ann Bishop.
Here.
Bo Jackson. Max Ferguson.
Here.
Martin McNair. And Hugh Jackson. We have a roll.
Thank you. Has everybody had the opportunity to look over tonight's agenda?
Move to accept the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Has everybody had the opportunity to look over the October 23rd regular meeting minutes?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Old business. Discuss and make recommendation for zoning ordinance revision concerning R1 minimum lot size. I spoke to the engineering firm, Mr. Ori, this evening, and he's gonna bring some stuff to our next meeting, have some stuff prepared. They've had their issues that were holding them up are corrected now. So they're gonna get some stuff to us for our next meeting to go over. I believe our recommendation, we'd already made the recommendation on 2-acre lot size from us. I don't think
It never went up.
It never went up.
Part of that, we'll have any further house.
All right.
Because we're still debating on the size for family divide. And one way we discussed, and I talked to Josh about that, already, is make the 2-acre minimum. And if there's an issue, somebody only has an acre and they have 2 kids, they can bring it to us for variance. In other words, set it for one thing.
Yours sounds the same as mine.
Or he said,
Mr. Amy Bishop's, alarm.
You the second, Chuck?
I didn't know.
I'm the second.
You the second?
I'm the second.
Yeah.
It's mine.
White Chuck,
They
Two
both
cents.
right.
sorry.
Thank you.
My mother's concentrating.
Good morning.
We don't have to roll call. No.
Yeah. That's probably mine. Sorry about that.
anyway, make it universal across the board, and anybody that needs a smaller one can ask for variance.
Okay.
In other words, if there's a family divide, make them all 2 acres, and if the family divides, they wanna do it, it's an exception anyway, and they can ask for it, they can ask for a variance. If they only have an acre and they got 2 kids, they can split it in half, make it half acre, and ask for a variance.
Which makes sense.
And then that way you don't have a built-in exception.
Right. Right.
We'll have to
That
hear it all the
larger
time.
situation.
It'll be period, 2 acres minimum.
We're gonna see some, I mean, if bigger developers come in, we're gonna see some requests in some manner, you know, whether they make green space or whatever, there's gonna be some requests and some concessions made, you know, but I like that idea.
Won't be on us.
No, you're true.
The only thing is, if we get, whatever they're gonna present, if they can get it to us a little early, so we can look at it before we come,
Okay.
it makes it easier to see what they're talking about, instead of catching us, cold as we walk in here and say, this is what we're proposing, where.
Basically, what I've sent you though is the current revision as is, and that's what he's looking at. So if you look over that, you'll have a good idea of where the few points he's gonna fine tune on that.
I do know Sam wants to look at it before we
Okay.
make any recommendation, so.
But if he's gonna, but if he can just let us know what he's gonna change potentially what you sent.
Okay. Bullet points, hey, we're doing this, and this, right?
Which we, for slow people, slow around this.
changes in subdivision ordinance. Do we wanna discuss, does anybody have suggestions or items they wanna have addressed? Or anything? I know, JR sent out an email about it. Is anybody have anything y'all specifically wanna have touched on?
The guy that wanted the list is not here. Bo was the one that asked for it.
Right.
Come up with a short list.
And there, I mean, like I said, I talked to him today. There's a lot of things that he's touching that, or stuff that we brought up all along. He did talk, he wants to see, and something different with the servitude stuff. I mean, I know I'm probably not the one that's bringing it up, because I was the one against it too, but he's got some different ideas about where that needs to fall into. He's talking about, doing simple subdivisions, so in those simple subdivisions, you would have everything under a certain number. He brought up an 8 number today, that although would have to have some, you would have to go in and have, impact letters, those types of deals, with anything that's being developed that will affect your neighbors. You know, any subdivision that's being developed would have to have impact letters, would have to go through that process. There's an 8 number that would change some of the rules from being, that was where it would drop into a major subdivision line, which would then go into, you have to get into, watershed studies and stuff like that. That would be the break line for that, was what he was talking about today. He can probably explain it much better than I can here. Subdivisions that have their road frontage on the road would be, would fall under some subdivisions, and there's not a whole lot to be restricted to those. It's property developed on highway frontage, you know. There will be some rules, you still have some impact letters and stuff like that, but, you won't have to do the drainage studies and stuff. Was the way it was explained to me today. I'm just trying to see.
Just trouble with the 8 is it creates a new category.
Trouble with the what?
Trouble with having an 8,
Oh,
it creates a new category.
okay.
Because all the developments went over to,
They're
the
also,
jury had all short of family divides. That was the only one that we were really keeping
so what,
with servitudes. Everything else is roads,
right, everything will go roads,
going roads. And the servitudes for family divides, we're gonna have a road in it before they can do anything.
right, they have to have it built. Well, and that's what he discussed, I don't remember my whole list.
Because we were using we have right now a 5-lot rule, and we're going to what the state allowed is a 6-lot rule, which is frontage and
Do y'all want to
5
do,
more.
I mean, do y'all want to bring it from 8 down to 5, or, I mean, that's a conversation we have here.
I mean, that's the thing about it, if it's a family divide, in other words, on a servitude, not road, on a servitude, you can only, state law says 5, plus whoever's on the front.
Right.
Right now, we have 4 and whatever's on road frontage.
Right.
Well, typically it's 1, but sometimes it can be 2.
But
you know.
what he's talking about is setting that over in subdivisions
I know,
where they'd actually have to deal with it the same way as a subdivision got dealt with. You know, I mean, it would be roads, it would be the whole deal. And, but do you wanna make that break it? I mean, is that the recommendation, to have the conversation, does that number wanna come down, and then everything above that goes into major subdivisions?
that's what I'd like to see, because it keeps it simple.
It's up to y'all.
It simplifies it for how to draw the lines.
So
And if it's not a family divide, they're not gonna serve through. In other words, it's gonna cut out all them 4-lot, 5-lot developments, dividing it up, selling, putting trailers on it or whatever
It's gonna cut up
they
like
would do.
the mechanic shop getting put behind the house on Pike Lane.
Well, yeah, all that kind of stuff is gonna go away.
Okay.
Because, and in the family thing is define what the family is. Grandparents to grandchildren,
So,
up, down, and siblings, and that's it.
we discussed that, and that's where,
Sam would be the reliable person to look at that, is when you go into family divide, the property be listed and deeded at that point. And that will stop, and it doesn't stop, like he said, it doesn't stop, he brought this up. You can give your property to your 2-year-old and then turn around and sell it, but it makes the process, you're the one that's skirting around it, not us giving, I mean, there's no way to get around that, but somebody, that they gave it to their 2-year-old, they're the responsible party in the garden for the 2-year-old, they can sell the property.
Is that done often?
Hmm?
Is that done often?
We had the one down in Slaughter that was, what they do, 80 or 9 lots, something like that?
And a lot of it comes down to, and the reason I say keep it that way, because talk to the judges, and they like the fact that it's family, and we define what family is, and that's it, and then it gets designated when it gets divided, and all the majority parties sign the thing. So when they're a majority, their name's on a lot. You can put them on all the lots, but the minorities don't make a difference. But then it keeps you from, because there's a lot of people here that have family property, but it's 28 people with 2 acres. And then we have a minimum, and that's what the minimum is gonna be the 2, to fall back to that 2 acres. The judge is easy. Sell it, we divide the money 28 ways.
Right, I mean, that
Bring
kind of
warrants.
clears up
Don't
some
bring
of that.
big bills.
There's no way
Bring
to
warrants.
divide it, to that extent.
Because it doesn't, that way the judge is not cutting it up either, because that's the other thing too. It's exempt from our ordinances anyway. The judge says, we gonna cut it up in slices, it's cut up.
Right. Not that they can do anything with it. It's got-
That's,
But they get the minimums on for a certain number of years, correct?
It's 10 here, I think.
10.
It's 10.
That's.
It's 10.
No.
So it's that.
the only thing the judge is held by is 12.5. He starts cutting up lots, he's held by 12.5, because that's sewer.
There was a discussion about putting, if it will be family divide, the property has to have ownership within the family for a certain amount of years before. So, in that note, you can't buy it to subdivide it and chop it down, I think it was 5 years, I think is what he said, on 4 or 5, I think it was 5. What else?
That's it. That's the biggest thing. And then the major stuff, we had most of it defined out.
Yeah, and the major stuff is just stuff y'all been touching on for years.
Right.
That's been those items that, which hopefully we get all that through. All right,
There'll only be 2-side servitudes too, because if you use a small one, that's a 30-foot servitude, and you even put in a gravel road, or if you tell us more, but 60 foot for anything other. Everything else is big enough. 60 feet will cover your everything.
So have we agreed to go to less than 8? Is that what you made a note of?
well, and that's the question, would y'all prefer, he was talking 8 a little while ago, if y'all prefer to 5, we really don't have to vote on anything, we can request him to, hey, we'd rather, as a group, rather y'all be at the 5 instead of the 8, and I'm asking that question now.
Well, the state law is 6.
4 plus the 1, right?
Well, it's 5 lots on servitude.
Okay.
In north frontage, right now, we have 4 lots on servitude. State law says you can have 5.
But we're not gonna be on servitude, this is gonna drop in the subdivision.
I know, it's gonna be going down the
It's
road.
gonna drop in,
Okay.
so it won't be, you'll be,
As long as they got a 2-acre minimum, he could put 3 out there. Building the road.
right, but it would just keep that number being a familiar number, I guess, is what JR's saying. But it's gonna drop towards the subdivision, it's gonna start pulling away from these goat trail subdivisions we're going right now.
And subdivision would be 60-foot driveway with a 2-acre minimum. So that's gonna get away from some of these small ones too.
And the problem that we're seeing is, we're getting a lot of phone calls where somebody all of a sudden has somebody that they thought was vacant property that's got subdivision behind them, and because it goes through so quickly. Perfect example is that stuff out there on Pipes Lane, because they have been, like, I can't walk into anything that involves where these 2 or 3 families are at right now without hearing about why we let it happen to them, which I don't want to let it happen to him, but the gentleman is planning on working on cars next to $1 million houses. You know, so it's just kinda how it went into, and it's not, there's no rule that you can't do business at your own house when it's not taking commerce to your house, you know, you can't, so you can work on the stuff at his house, bring it somewhere else. It's kind of a bad deal. But, so we, discussion to reduce the number from 8 to 5? All in favor?
Five is the state law, we put it over here in Paris.
Well, but it's a state law, but it's on a different thing that we're dealing with, though. 4, we've been for the servitude subdivisions at that point, but still, it's gonna be an actual subdivision now, so it'll be a roadway requirement in the subdivisions. So it won't be it just won't, the servitude thing is pretty much going away, is what Josh is recommending. So, except in the case of family petitions, family dies, family petitions. It is an easy number. I mean, honestly, I don't think it's making much of a difference, but it's an easy number that's understood, so.
Why was he even thinking that way?
I think some of the dealings they have an 8. 8 is their number that they deal with, so.
Second that.
All in favor, signify. Any opposed? Ayes have it. I'll call him, I'll text him about that. All right. Anything else y'all want to discuss on subdivision? Sounds good. I'm sure Mr. Boo's ready to go home already.
At least you had 2 of them.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to new business. All maps have been advertised as required. Brings us to the first map, Alan Ronald Johnson map. Moody?
Both these first 2 maps are basically an exchange of property. It's, this first one's on 412, northwest of 67. And it's a 95.95 acre tract. And we're cutting off the eastern end, which is 39.44 acres. And then the guy that owns the adjoining lot 2C2A, which is Bennett Acquisitions LLC, they're buying that eastern end of tract N. So we're attaching it to his lot 2C2A, and it forms this tract. It's long, a lot of letters because of the way these lots were numbered, but that 69.85 acre lot.
Okay.
And then, so that's gonna leave tract N1, 56.51 acres. So you had 2 lots there, and you still had 2 lots there, so it's basically an exchange of property. That tract N1 has its frontage on 412, and the newly created 69.85 acres has its frontage on Plank Road on 67.
Okay.
That's really cool. Okay, all right. We looked at the property right next to it. Last month? Was that, did we look at changing some lot lines last month? I think so.
On this,
On the one right next to it.
not me. It might have been, I think Bradley Roberts may have surveyed
I
some
think
of that
so,
stuff.
Yeah, 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 we looked at the piece that's changed, cause that all was swapping up right there. Alright, can I get a recommendation?
Second.
That brings us to maps under administrative procedure, Albert Sullivan and Ronald LaGrange.
This is basically another exchange of property, so we're cutting out, a 2-acre strip from tract C1 that Mr. Albert Sullivan owns, and he's selling that 2-acre strip to Ronnie Roseanne LaGrange, who owns the tract D4. So we're just attaching that 2-acre strip because it was only 70 feet wide, so it couldn't be a standalone lot. So we're attaching that strip to what the LaGrange has already owned, and that becomes tract D4A, 9.07 acres, and then, Mr. Sullivan is left with tract C1A, which is 13.70 acres, and this is on Neeson Road, so both remaining pieces are, you got plenty of frontage on Neeson. So it's the same deal, there were 2 lots there, and you still have 2 lots, and just exchanging that 70-foot wide, 2-acre strip.
Let's close the public hearing, can I get a recommendation?
Move to approve.
Second.
Debbie Ellis,
Yes.
Andy Bishop,
Yes.
Ashley Burns,
Yes.
Mark Jones.
Yes.
Josh Oakley.
Yes. Thank you. And that brings us to approved final map showing re-subdivision of Clear Creek Estates.
That's not even on that. That's the one that rolled up there, that's the preliminary we did last month.
Okay, so we don't have to, all we have to do is sign that tonight.
Sign it. That's it.
What did you say, ODE?
All taken by events. The jury already approved it.
Did y'all have a thing? Oh.
No, I'm glad you are.
We can see.
Mr. Moody, nothing's any different on the map? Nothing's changed, it's exactly.
Did you wanna, you wanna look at the final to make sure nothing was changed?
The divide line, the measurements on the divide line changed a little bit, because I had to actually go out there and do the survey.
That's preliminary.
So you can look at the 2.
The lots is
I
like.
got one look at the 2.
The lots are the same,
One lot went up 200ths of an acre, and the other one went down 200ths of an acre. Because that divide line, I had to tweak it in the field a little bit, so it just varied a little bit, but
yeah, that's not much. Okay, so we've got still the same layout.
everything else was the same, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, police jury, anything from police jury tonight?
I do have a quick question. So anytime somebody comes in with a preliminary, if y'all have to come back to y'all?
Cause it did change.
In case something changed, just apply for us, so you know.
In other words, once the jury approves it, and the layout doesn't change,
Good.
Okay.
Well, what if it does change? Is that what you just
Well,
said?
it did change.
in other words, if they
a
change
little
more,
bit.
add more lots and anything like that, that's the layout.
What, just, what we're having a conversation, or, so,
Oh, one other thing. I think that Junk and Ridge, they turned in their final plat. So,
we won't see it
police
again.
jury, right?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
we won't see it again.
Put it in here, the jury.
So, just correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Moody, just since the question was brought up, basically, you're making a change, that 2/10 is making a change from that swinging to that line, where it swung out, where it makes that bend more or less, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's pretty simple, if you want to look at it, just, if he makes a point in the middle, and it made a little bit of a swing right there. Alright. Legal advisor, I'm present, public comment, would anybody like to get up and take the podium for a little while? All 3 of y'all, and we still won't, you ain't much time.
You got about a minute before you break your right.
Alright, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Well, you
What's
missed your
the,
time, you missed
no,
your
the
time.
date for the December meeting, I'm just thinking Christmas coming up, is it moved, it's still the 4th Tuesday of December?
No, it's the 10th, it's the second Tuesday.
December 10th.
Wow.
It's the 10th.
It should be.
Do we have any maps been turned in?
Well, the due date's not until the fifth
We hadn't had any.
Fifth of what?
December.
December 10th.
No, not. It's back, it's December, it's November.
Yeah, it was.
18?
in
It's on
the last year.
Yeah, it's on, we did it.
But we haven't gotten any.
So December 10th,
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about, probably the only thing we're gonna have, since we don't have any maps, we're gonna have the discussion with Josh Orr.
That's in 2 weeks, you think, Josh, we in 2 weeks?
He sounded this evening like he's got it pretty much together.
Okay.
It was most of what we talked about, other than this being 5 instead of 8. I think he's pretty much spent the time, but. Yep. All right, let's get something, some signatures.
Listen, I have a sock drive going on for the same club, so if you wanna donate any
Socks?
socks or cash, then I can buy them for you and your tax and donation. Yeah, we're doing a sock drive for the, nursing home.
When you need the money?
Well,
Like now?
I probably want to, it's gonna be before the 10th, because I'm delivering on December the 6th. But I have to go shopping this weekend and get all the rest of the socks.
You may be in trouble. Look at stuff.
Look.
No, I mean, we're looking for gifts already.
Oh, wow.
Who's your two signers?
That's fine, I got one for you.
$300 songs?
Yeah, we're doing war veterans, we're doing grace, and we're doing,
We do Bill War.
war veterans, I mean, nursing home.
Two more than things.
Oh, it's good.
Thank y'all, y'all have a good Thanksgiving.
I can say everything.
Great.
I'm only one teacher, I'm stretched out. Gotta get up my kids.
Today's date is.
26.
I see you my clothes,
Diane, you're ready at home? Wait a minute.
Thanksgiving, it's that Christmas time yet, don't rush us to Christmas.
And believe me, I don't.
Black Friday, Black Friday coming up. No, it's fine.
Okay, so happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes,
Be careful wherever y'all go.
good more, eat less.
What did you say, sit more, eat less?
It's like, what you cooking? I'm helping my mama. What you doing for Thanksgiving? I have a bottle of wine and some comfy clothes.
Is it you?
Yes,
I've
ma'am.
got to hear you all.
I think
I may have done it.
All you have to do is
My
answer.
cousins.
You can have it. You can have it.
I may have done it. I may have done something that, yeah.
All you have to do is answer. It usually gets back pretty quickly.
Yeah, but the family dollar was going out of business, and the girl gave them to me for $2.50.
I mean, you can get some less than that.
That's not fair, fair. It's not fair, unless it's on you, so.
I'm like,
Maybe I want to see what you know.
but the thing about it,
They agree, and I think.
but friend, the thing about it, I was going around the store scooping them up because they had them just everywhere. And the girl just gave them to me. She was like, "How many you got?" I said 17. She said
I wouldn't have
250.
handed it over either, you know?
Why leave them? I'm like, girl.
I even think twice about this. I was like, oh, good, that means I gotta take the
Because,
pressure.
exactly, because what she said, we needed 32.
Yeah, something like that, because there's so many residents on
That's
there.
why I'm like, girl, you know, I'm serious.
No, what's up?
The man.
Really, he did. I'm not sitting here with that myself. I'm telling you. He got his vibe, that's what he wants, so there you go.
Goodness.
Good night, gentlemen and ladies.
Good night.
Y'all have a good one.
You know, you already trying to.
Bye, y'all.
All right, have a happy.
You too, girl, you girl.
You trying to, show my.
I know you lying.
My friend, he was good.
I know it is, I see it, I just wish you was on there.
And that is.
Y'all-
Sorry, protocol was that y'all were supposed to look at it, at least glance, so I'm sorry, I spoke
And
up.
I'm like,
But it did have some minor changes, so I'm glad you at least looked at it.
No, that's what, I mean,
And I
It
trust
gets
the county,
interesting.
but,
it gets interesting once they approve, but we're no.
yeah, I know.
It,
I was just told that y'all were supposed to take a glance at the final, so I just wanna make sure
What's
I
that
followed
date?
through with that order.
okay, 'cause,
I had one Tuesday, anything.
yeah, but,
And I did not know about the y'all
Only
meeting?
time it's gonna hit is if my guys come in this week. And
Well, we're on, we're off the rest of the week, so they're, if they turn in, yeah, we're off tomorrow and then Thursday, and then we don't work on Friday. So they're not gonna turn in. We're off the day before Thanksgiving and then Thanksgiving. But we work Christmas Eve.
We vote on dates for next
Oh,
year.
I definitely.
no, we have to do that in our next meeting. That's what.
That'll be December 10th. Okay,
So
so
we
then
need to-
let JR know, put that on the agenda. Okay.
But no,
Maybe we can finagle the December 25 a little bit better, just to give people time to turn in a map if they have it.
It doesn't work well because the police jury doesn't wanna meet that week of Christmas. That's what happens.
Well, they have us
And we
working
got-
Christmas Eve.
Huh?
They have us working Christmas Eve, so maybe
But
they're
they're
not
not
changing
meeting,
hearts.
I think their meeting is moved. I think their meeting's moved earlier too. I think that's why we ended up so early. No, that's it. This, JR signed that one already. This is the preliminary, so.
Okay, and then everybody signs this stuff, so these are the two new ones.
But the doctor's gonna have 50%.
Alright, y'all have a wonderful holiday.
Yeah, we got lucky with having off tomorrow.
Go get them then.
That was,
Did you paint the red or I need to send you the red?
I don't know why I didn't think about that.
I know, yeah. And I'll send it. I'm bringing one on to, I gotta go look at St. Francis on the morning, so I may just send Alex.
okay, so what do I do
So I may
with
just send
these?
it back there. So,
These are the preliminary and the
paint
final.
that red tomorrow.
Okay.
When I go back.
And so the person that
Oh, so they got
Memory
to
foam,
sign
just
by,
saying that it's like that.
Louis.
And probably
Yeah.
just take off the spray.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the best bet.
All right.
Alright, another day.
Another day, another day.
Ladies, y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving day.
I am. I have every intention of having number
All right.
food and football.
Come on, friend.
Christmas tree put up.
Pass it up. Pass it up, fool.
When is the next police jury meeting, Miss, Nikki?
Monday,
Oh my God.
Monday coming.
So I'll be here for that then. Okay, cool. I'll be here with bells on.
I know I ain't, oh, here we go.
Huh?
Regular 8 to,
What, when is it, Black Friday?
yeah.
I can come up
Yeah, baby, I'm gonna be at the store for 7 o'clock, cause they got, them
The
bins.
bins, she been talking about the
They
bins.
got some bins too for $15.
You talking about like, the clear beans, that's like
Mhm.
$30 a piece?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Don't come to the dollar store, don't do it.
Leave it on.
Don't.
I'll probably still beat you, cause you know you be late.